Hello, everybody. I'm here in the Hall of the Dead in Falkreath, paying homage to the fallen at the Shrine of Arkay, God of the Dead. I've been traveling all day, and I'm passing through Falkreath and decided this would be the place to spend the night. I'm on my way towards Whiterun, where I intend to acquire a rare original copy of the book Tamrielic Lore, written by Tamriel's last living dwarf. But we can talk more about that book later. Here we can see a central fixture of Falkreath, the graveyard, which is the largest graveyard in all of Skyrim. The graves are sheltered by the boreal forest in which Falkreath resides. You can find any number of coniferous trees in these woods. Spruce, fir, larch. But I believe pine trees are by far the most common. This graveyard has been filled with countless corpses over the years. The town of Falkreath grew up around the cemetery, and the cemetery grew with the town. Many of these graves are unmarked now, or the names have long since worn away, until most of the dead here are anonymous. And of course, the recent Skyrim civil war, wherein the rebels of Ulfric's Stormcloak have taken up arms against the Empire, has swelled the ranks of the graveyard even more, as Skyrim's native children kill each other and fill the soil beneath Falkreath. And here we have the Dead Man's Drink, named for the adjacent graveyard, of course. There's some vampire ash on the front stoop. An ominous sight. I'll have my food and rest here, and in the morning we can depart for Whiterun. A nice warm fire. A break from Skyrim's chill evening air. So I'll go get some food and some mead, and Nari here apparently has a thing for Argonian men, but I'm a married man. I have no intention of fooling about with the local tavern girl. So let's get some Blackbriar mead. Expensive though it is, it's certainly worth it. And I noticed coming in that Valder, a hunter in the area, has a seat over here. I helped him out of a pinch a few months back when his hunting party was ambushed by Spriggans. Valder was the only survivor, unfortunately, but I helped him escape with his life. And we'll drink our mead, and we'll eat our bread, and some cooked chicken. And we'll get to bed, as a long day of walking can really take it out of you. And we've got another one tomorrow. So let's get off to... no thank you, I do not want to drink. And... okay, she is persistent. must really like Argonian men. I'm a little creeped out, actually. Let's just try to quietly sneak into my room. Although now I wonder if it's even safe to sleep here with her creeping about in the building. I might wake up and find her hovering over me. But let's slip off to our room and get our rest for the night. Off here, a nice bed covered in animal pelts. Good place to rest. And here we have Matthews. I guess he's going to be sitting here while we drift off to sleep. You know what, I won't kick him out. His daughter recently met with a terrible tragedy. She was torn apart by a werewolf. So I won't bother the man. He's in a horrible state of grief. And now, alright, I guess he spent all night watching over us. Who knows, maybe he was protecting us from that voracious tavern girl. And look at that beam of light coming down. Isn't that beautiful? And, hello again. Let's get a little food for the road. Have some more chicken. And an apple. And a handsome man in Falkreath. Okay, you know what? I'm getting out of here. I don't want this creepy lady trying anything. The sooner I get out of town, the better. So now we can see Falkreath in the day. A somewhat gloomy town. Some attribute that to the graveyard and the sort of associated grim feelings. Others say that the god Arche likes to keep his graveyard town this way. You know, a somewhat interesting Falkreath tradition is called the Grave Curd. You can read about it in some books dedicated to the cheeses of the Empire. And in Falkreath, the grave curd is a piece of fresh cheese, which, when a loved one dies, is buried on top of their casket, or their coffin. And every year, on the anniversary of the loved one's death, the cheese is dug up, and 1/5 of it is consumed. So 5 years after the loved one has passed on, you eat the last of the grave curd. And it's an unusual... Oh, we've got some bandits on the road here. The grave curd is an unusual tradition, and one that some might find a little disturbing, but I don't know, it is kind of beautiful in a way. It gives you 5 years to sort of receive a last gift from your past loved one. And these bandits here, you know, it's in any other city in Skyrim, it would be quite shocking to find bandits with such a sophisticated trap so close to the town. But in this case, it's unfortunately only to be expected, for the Jarl of Falkreath, Sitgeir, is a loathsome man and a terrible leader. He deposed his Stormcloak supporting Uncle Dengir, and installed himself as a loyalist to the Empire. And in addition to bandits, we've got giant bears as well. The roads are certainly dangerous in Skyrim. But even though Sidgeir gave his loyalty to the Empire, nominally his true loyalty is only to coin and to his own luxurious living standards. And the Jarl has been paying, or rather, taking payments from bandit gangs, taking a share of their ill-gotten gains in exchange for the bandits' safety from Falkreath's guards. So, the Jarl, the man who is supposed to be protecting the roads from bandits, is actually on the take from them. But such is the way of living in a time of civil war, I suppose. Corruption and criminality only grow more rampant. And unfortunately, the journey is only going to get more dangerous from here, as we can see the walls of Helgen up ahead. This was the first town ravaged. Ooh. Yes, as I feared. It seems bandits have taken up residence in the destroyed town. Helgen was burned to the ground by Alduin, the World Eater, when he returned to Tamriel. It was his first place of, bandits, as I feared. It was the first place that Alduin struck, that he made himself known, and in quite a twist of fate, the dragon actually ended up saving the life of Ulfric Stormcloak, who was mere moments away from being executed after having been captured by Imperial guards. You can see the destruction, the burnt buildings, the crumbled stonework. Alduin left Helgen a smoking ruin. And burnt corpses as well. A tragedy. And one of these gates gets me out of Helgen, and, well, both of them get me out of Helgen. One of them is the right way. I'm trying to get to Whiterun, as I said, and I want to pass through the little town of Riverwood to get there. And this is not the path. This takes me higher up into the mountains. Must be the other gate. So, yeah, I'll take the time here while I mop up these bandits to tell you a little more about the book that we are seeking today. The tome is called Tamrielic Lore, and it was written by Yagrum Bagarn, Tamriel's last living dwarf, the last Dwemer. I don't know of Yagrum's current fate, but as of 200 years ago, I know that he lived on Vardenfell in the province of Morrowind, living in the Corpusarium of the Telvanni wizard Devaith Fear, in the wizard's home of Telfir. Yagrum inhabited the corpusarium because he was infected with the disease of corpus, which was a terrible disease. And perhaps another day we can learn all about Yagrum. He's a very interesting man. But for now, all you need to know is that he was a master craftsman among the ancient Dwemer. And he knew of many of Tamriel's greatest artifacts, weapons, and enchanted tools. And his patron, Devaith the Fear, once asked him to write down all of this lore in a book. A sort of compendium of Tamriel's greatest artifacts. And some time ago, I made a deal with the court wizard of Whiterun, Farengar, Secret Fire, that if I used my powers as Dragonborn to allow him to study a dragon in the living flesh, he would keep an eye out for the rare books that I love to collect. Good luck on your hunt, little hunter and cute little dog. And I would pay him for the trouble, of course. So he wound up in possession of an original copy of Tamrielic Lore and sent word to me. So I'm on my way to Whiterun to pick it up. Off in the distance there, Bleak Falls Barrow and the White River below. Bleak Falls Barrow, of course, is one of the ancient Nord burial grounds, full of Draugr, undead Nord warriors. You can even find dragon priests in there, as many of the ancient Nords used to worship dragons when they ruled the world. The ruins are full of traps and crumbling stonework and all sorts of dangers. Here, we are descending down between two mountains to find Riverwood below in the valley. To the east, of course, is the Throat of the World, the second tallest mountain in Tamriel. The first being Red Mountain on Vardenfell in Morrowind. And of course, atop the Throat of the World live the Greybeards. There it is, Riverwood. It's a quaint little town. They do fishing and hunting, and they also chop lumber. They have a mill on the river, a mechanical lumber splitting machine. And it's full of the small town drama that you might expect. Men vying for the attention. That guard just said, "Stay out of trouble, Argonian," to me. That's very rude. Teach him some manners. Teach him not to be racist to my people. Anyway, that's of course just a little fantasy I had of teaching him a lesson. I would never do that. Just for somebody making a rude comment. He can go on his way. And sits on. It flows down from Lake Ilinalta, which is just north of Falkreath. You can see it winding its way downhill, and during spawning season, this river is full of thousands of salmon swimming that direction upstream. You can see the lumber operation over there. And the salmon are a convenient food source. There we are. Whiterun. Just follow the sign down the road. Now, this book, as I said, has a connection to Dwarf Fear, the Telvanni wizard of Morrowind. And, man, would you just look at that view. Skyrim's rivers are gorgeous. A frostbite spider over there. Nasty creatures. We'll just leave that and be on our way. So, Dwarf Fear, interestingly enough, has a connection to another book that we picked up recently. When I went to go collect Varieties of Daedra, a book that was written by a student of Dwarf Fear. And now we're picking up Tamrielic Lore and a wolf. Come on. The Jarl's men need to do a better job at securing the roads. Where was I? Yes, and of course this book was written at the request of Dwarf Fear by Yagrum Bagarn. There it is. Whiterun. Beautiful city on the hill. Skyrim really is something special. Its mountains and its rivers and its tundra flowers and its coniferous trees, the clear skies, the snow to the north. It's a gorgeous region. Dwarf Fear and Yagrum Bagarn. I don't know their current condition, but Red Mountain did explode, so there's reason to be concerned for their safety. And would you look at that? Another beast of the wilds, interrupting my appreciation of Skyrim's natural beauties. You can see these windmills here. Whiterun Hold is a sort of a breadbasket for Skyrim. The rivers here feed the soil, which grows wheat, gourds, leeks, cabbages, potatoes, and other food crops. The windmills brew the wheat into flour. Here on the left is Honningbrew Meadery, or rather it used to be Honningbrew Meadery. Now it's a Blackbriar establishment. Maven Blackbriar stole it from its previous owners in a cunning bit of chicanery. Maven is a hard, calculating woman, and her fortunes have been on the rise recently, as she recently became the Jarl of Riften after the Imperial Legion took it from the Stormcloaks. This here is Pelagia Farm. I remember the first time I made my way to Whiterun. I saw 3 warriors fighting a giant here. Skyrim's giants are deadly foes, but the warriors were members of the Companions, a mercenary guild based out of Whiterun, and they slew the giant with ease. I remember the moment very well because it was the moment I laid eyes on the woman who would one day become my wife. I'll discuss the Companions more when we pass by their guild hall in the city. As we're approaching Whiterun, you can see that there's ruination and remnants of defensive fortifications. Some of it is very old, but the fresh stuff came about recently when the Civil War came to town, as Ulfric Stormcloak's army of rebels attempted to capture Whiterun from Jarl Balgruuf and his imperial reinforcements. Jarl Balgruuf had long tried to remain neutral in the Civil War, but that strategy remained, or proved to be, untenable, given the realities of the situation. When the two sides were closing in, Balgruuf eventually had no choice but to pick a side, and he went with the Imperials. A bunch of junk on the ground. Somebody should really clean that up. So, entering Whiterun finds us in the Plains district. Here are inns and taverns and shops, marketplace. It's a mercantile area. Ascending these steps, we find ourselves in the Wind District, which is wealthier. The homes are larger and more ornate, as you can see. It's quite beautiful. And up here, you can see the Gilder Green, a sacred symbol of Kinnereth, or Kine, as the Nords call her. Unfortunately, you can also see remnants of the war here. This destroyed home, for instance. And up here is Jorvaskr, the mead hall of the Companions I spoke of earlier. It's made from an upturned boat that once carried some of Ysgramor's legendary 500 companions across the seas from Admora. Turning the corner here, we can see the Skyforge, a legendary forge that predates even the Ayleid elves. This forge is what caused Jeek of the River, one of Ysgramor's companions, to found the city of Whiterun here, flipping his ship over and establishing it as a mead hall. The name Whiterun was chosen, as you might be able to infer, from the White River, just off in the distance there. And the city being next to the run of the river, or the running river, was named Whiterun. The Skyforge is a legendary fixture of the city, and has outfitted many great Nord warriors, and particularly the Companions. Rumors speak of a secret chamber underneath the Skyforge, and of a hidden society that meets there. The truth of these rumors is in question to some, but I have it on very good authority that there is a secret group of companions who meet in this hidden chamber. And this seam in the rock face certainly looks suspicious. And in case you doubt me, my spouse just might be a member of that little group. But before we make our way up to Dragon's Reach and collect the book, let's go and get a blessing of Talos. Jarl Balgruuf, up there in Dragon's Reach, he is a devoted worshipper of Talos. And it was interesting, as he was trying to stay neutral during the Civil War, he seemed to be a natural Stormcloak, a true Nord, a believer in his land's traditions, a fierce warrior, and a devoted worshipper of Talos, as I said, which the Thalmor had banned. But he also saw the benefits of the Empire, believing that it brought safety and prosperity to Skyrim. And what's more, although he might not own up to this as being one of the major reasons for his decision to join the Empire, he and Ulfric Stormcloak had hated each other for years. More garbage on the ground. Ridiculous. And this deep-rooted enmity between Balgruuf and Ulfric might have made it impossible for Balgruuf to ever join Ulfric in his rebellion, being unwilling to serve under the man he despised. But here we are, Dragon's Reach. Up here we can find Jarl Balgruuf the Greater, and behind him a big dragon skull hanging on the wall. I'll explain that when we visit the back of Dragon's Reach. And next to the Jarl up here, we can see his housecarl, Irileth, a Dunmer woman and a fiercely loyal, possibly overprotective friend of Balgruuf who fought with him in his youth and has fended off assassins and even stared down dragons without flinching. But here he is, Farengar Secret Fire, Balgruuf's court wizard, the Jarl's advisor on matters of magic. As I mentioned, I cut a deal with him that if he came across any particularly special books, he would give me the opportunity to buy them off of him. So let's grab Tamrielic Lore from him. And I think I'll go read the book on Dragonreach's Great Porch. And I said that I would tell you more about that skull behind the Jarl. So the Great Porch, which we'll see in a moment, was a prison built by Olaf One-Eye to hold Numinex, a captured dragon. It may be hard to have sympathy for dragons, given the tyranny that they held over men, but Numinex seems to have suffered pretty terribly in his imprisonment, losing his mind even, as Parthenax, an old dragon from that time, said that Numinex couldn't even remember his own name when Parthenax would visit him. And that skull above the throne, of course, is Numinex's. The great trap still hangs from the ceiling of the porch, and was actually used recently to capture the dragon Odahviing. The porch gives just an incredible view of the north part of Whiterun hold. And it seems a perfect place to read our book in peace. Here as the sunset turns the sky orange and casts a warm glow over the tundra fields of Skyrim. So let's take a seat and get comfortable and crack open our newest acquisition. Tamrielic Lore, revised by Yagrum Bagarn. The following are notes I have gathered over the past centuries of items of unimaginable significance. All have been seen, owned, and lost again and again throughout Tamriel. Some may be myth, others may be hoax, but regardless, many have lost their lives attempting to find or protect these very coveted items. Lord's Mail, sometimes called the Armor of Morehouse or the Gift of Kinnereth. This is an ancient cuirass of unsurpassable quality. It grants the wearer power to absorb health, resist the effects of spells, and cure oneself of poison when used. It is said that whenever Kinnereth deigns the wearer unworthy, the Lord's Mail will be taken away and hidden for the next chosen one. Ebony Mail. The Ebony Mail is a breastplate created before recorded history by the dark elven goddess Boethia. It is she who determines who should possess the Ebony Mail, and for how long. If judged worthy, its power grants the wearer added resistance of fire, magicka, and grants a magical shield. It is Boethia alone who determines when a person is ineligible to bear the Ebony Mail any longer, and the goddess can be very capricious. Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker. Superficially a Dwemer tower shield, it is one of the most ancient relics of Tamriel. Aside from its historical importance in the Battle of Rorken-Shalidor, the Spellbreaker protects its wielder almost completely from any spellcaster, either by reflecting magics or silencing any mage about to cast a spell. It is said that Spellbreaker still searches for its original owner and will not remain the property of anyone else for long. For most, possessing Spellbreaker for any length of time is power enough. Chrysamere. The Paladin's Blade is an ancient claymore with offensive capabilities surpassed only by its own defenses. It lends the wielder health, protects him or her from fire, and reflects any spells cast against the wielder back to the caster. Seldom has Chrysamere been wielded by any bladesman for any length of time, for it chooses not to favor one champion. Staff of Magnus. The Staff of Magnus, one of the elder artifacts of Tamriel, was a metaphysical battery of sorts for its creator, Magnus. When used, it absorbs an enemy's health and mystical energy. In time, the staff will abandon the mage who wields it before he becomes too powerful and upsets the mystical balance it is sworn to protect. Warlock's Ring. The Warlock's Ring of the Archmage Sirabane is one of the most popular relics of myth and fable. In Tamriel's ancient history, Sirabane saved all of the continent by judicious use of his ring, and ever since it has helped adventurers with less lofty goals. It is best known for its ability to reflect spells cast at its wearer, and to improve his or her speed, and to restore health. no adventurer can wear the Warlock's ring for long, for it is said that the ring is Cirabane's alone to command. Ring of Finister. The Ring of Finister was made hundreds of years ago by a man who needed good defenses to survive his adventurous life. Thanks to the ring, Finister lived for hundreds of years, and since then it has passed from person to person. The ring improves its wearer's overall resistance to poison, magicka, and shock. Still, Finister was cunning and cursed the ring, so that it eventually disappears from its holder's possessions and returns to another resting place, discontent to stay anywhere but with Finister himself. The Ring of the Khajiit is an ancient relic, hundreds of years older than Rajin, the thief that made the ring famous. It was Rajin who used the ring's powers to make himself invisible and as quick as the breath of wind. Using the ring, he became the most successful burglar in Elsweir's history. Rajin's eventual fate is a mystery, but according to legend, the ring rebelled against such constant use and disappeared, leaving Rajin helpless before his enemies. Mace of Molag Bal. Also known as the Vampire's Mace, the Mace of Molag Bal drains its victims of magicka and gives it to the bearer. It also has the ability to transfer an enemy's strength to its wielder. Molag Bal has been quite free with his artifact. There are many legends about the mace. It seems to be a favorite for vanquishing wizards. Mask of Clavicus Vile. Ever the vain one, Clavicus Vile made a mask suited to his own personality. The bearer of the mask is more likely to get a positive response from the people of Tamriel. The higher his personality, the larger the bonus. The best-known story of the mask tells the tale of Avalea, a noblewoman of some renown. As a young girl, she was grossly disfigured by a spiteful servant. Avalea made a dark deal with Clavicus Vile and received the mask in return. Though the mask did not change her looks, suddenly she had the respect and admiration of everyone. A year and a day after her marriage to a well-connected baron, Clavicus Vile reclaimed the mask. Although pregnant with his child, Avalea was banished from the baron's household. 21 years and 1 day later, Avalea's daughter claimed her vengeance by slaying the baron. Mehrunes Razor. The Dark Brotherhood has coveted this ebony dagger for generations. This mythical artifact is capable of slaying any creature instantly. History does not record any bearers of Mehrunes Razor. However, the Dark Brotherhood was once decimated by a vicious internal power struggle. It is suspected that the Razor was involved. Cuirass of the Savior's Hide. Another of Hircine's artifacts was the Cuirass of the Savior's Hide. The cuirass has the special ability to resist magicka. Legend has it that Hircine rewarded his peeled hide to the first and only mortal to have ever escaped his hunting grounds. This unknown mortal had the hide tailored into this magical cuirass for his future adventures. The Savior's Hide has a tendency to travel from hero to hero, as though it has a mind of its own. Spear of Bitter Mercy. One of the more mysterious artifacts is the Spear of Bitter Mercy. Little to nothing is known about the spear. There are no recorded histories, but many believe it to be of Daedric origin. The only known legend about it is its use by a mighty hero during the fall of the battle spire. The hero was aided by the spear in the defeat of Mehrunes Dagon and the recapturing of the battle spire. Since that time, the Spear of Bitter Mercy has made few appearances within Tamriel. Daedric Scourge. The Daedric Scourge is a mighty mace, forged from sacred ebony in the fires of Fickledire. The legendary weapon of Macan, it was once a fierce weapon used to send spirits of black back into oblivion. The weapon has the ability to summon creatures from oblivion. Once a tool used against the Daedric lords in the battle spire, it now roams the land with adventurers. Bow of Shadows. Legend has it that the Bow of Shadows was forged by the Daedra Nocturnal. The legendary ranger, Rareless Gil, was granted the bow for a secret mission that failed, and the bow was lost. Rareless did not go down without a heavy fight, and is said to have, with the aid of the bow, taken scores of his foes with him. The bow grants the user the ability of invisibility and increased speed. Many sightings of the Bow of Shadows have been reported, and it is even said that the sinister dark elf assassin of the Second Era, Dram, once wielded this bow. Fists of Randagolf. Randagolf of Clan Begalin goes down in Tamrielic history as one of the mightiest warriors from Skyrim. He was known for his courage and ferocity in battle, and was a factor in many battles. He finally met his fate when King Harold conquered Skyrim. King Harold respected this great hero, and took Randagolf's gauntlets for his own. After King Harold died, the gauntlets disappeared. The king claimed that the fists granted the bearer added strength. Ice Blade of the Monarch. The Ice Blade of the Monarch is truly one of Tamriel's most prized artifacts. Legend has it that the evil archmage Almion Kelmo enchanted the claymore of a great warrior with the soul of a frost monarch, a stronger form of the more common frost atronach. The warrior, Thurgnar Asi, was to play a part in the assassination of a great king in a far-off land, and to become the new leader. The assassination failed, and the archmage was imprisoned. The ice blade freezes all who feel its blade. The blade circulates from owner to owner, never settling in one place for long. Ring of Surroundings. Little is known of this prize, but it is said that it lends the wearer the ability to blend in with their surroundings. Boots of the Apostle. The boots of the Apostle are a true mystery. The wearer of the boots is rumored to be able to levitate, though nobody has ever seen them used. The Mentor's Ring. This ring is a prized possession for any apprentice to magic. It lends the wearer the ability to increase their intelligence and wisdom, thus making their use of magic more efficient. The High Wizard, Karni Asrun, is said to be the creator of the ring. It was a construct for his young apprentices while studying under his guidance. After Asrun's death, the ring and several other possessions vanished and have been circulated throughout Tamriel. Ring of the Wind. No facts are known about this ring, but the title and the few rumors lend one to think it grants the wearer added speed. vampiric ring. One of the more deadly and rare artifacts in Tamriel is the vampiric ring. It is said that the ring has the power to steal its victim's health and grant it to the wearer. The exact nature and origin of the ring is wholly unknown, but many elders speak of its evil creation in Morrowind long, long ago by a cult of vampire followers. The vampiric ring is an extremely rare artifact and is only seen every few hundred cycles of the moons. Elidon's Ward. Elidon was a holy knight of legend in Breton history. He was a sought-after man for his courage and determination to set all wrongs right. In one story, it is said that he rescued a baron's daughter from sure death at the hands of an evil warlord. For his reward, the baron spent all of his riches to have an enchanted shield built for Elidon. The shield granted Elidon the opportunity to heal his wounds. Staff of Hasidoki. Hasidoki was said to have been a very competitive wizard. He wandered the land in search for a wizard who was greater than he. To the best of all knowledge, he never found a wizard who could meet up to his challenge. It is said that he felt so lonely and isolated because so many feared his power that he bonded his life force into his very own staff, where his soul remains to this very day. Magic users all over Tamriel have been searching for this magical staff, granting its wielder a protection of magicka. It is a sure prize for any magic user. Bloodworm Helm. The King of Worms was said to have left behind one of his prized possessions, the Bloodworm Helm. The helm is a construct of magically formed bone. The helm allows the user to summon skeletons and control the undead. It would be a prized artifact to a necromancer. Dragonbone Mail. This cuirass is one of the greatest artifacts any collector or hero could own. It is constructed of real dragon bone and was enchanted by the first Imperial battle mage, Zurin Arctis, in the early years of the Third Era. It is a truly exquisite piece of work, and many have sought to possess it. The properties of the cuirass allow the wearer to resist fire, and to damage an enemy with a blast of fire. Little is known about the involvement of Zurin Arctis with the enchantment of the cuirass, but an old tale speaks of a debt that he owed to a traveling warrior. Like the warrior, the dragonbone mail never stays put for long. Skull Crusher. The Skull Crusher is an amazingly large and powerful weapon. The Warhammer was created in a fire, magically fueled by the wizard Durak Gusal, and was forged by the great weaponsmith Hilbengard Rolamus. The steel is magically hardened, and the weight of the weapon is amazingly light, which makes for more powerful swings and deadly blows. The Warhammer was to be put on display for a festival, but thieves got it first. The Skull Crusher still travels Tamriel in search of its creators. Goldbrand. This magical sword is almost a complete mystery. Thieves tell tales about its golden make and how it was actually forged by ancient dragons of the north. Their tales claim that it was given to a great knight who was sworn to protect the dragons. The sword lends its wielder the ability to do fire damage on an enemy. Gold brand has not been sighted in recent history, and is said to be awaiting a worthy hero. Fang of Hainic Namet. Blackmarsh was once known to be inhabited with what the Argonians called the Wamasus. Northern men considered them to be intelligent dragons with lightning for blood. One such mighty beast, Hainic Namet, was slain by the northern men, though it took 7 days and nights and a score of men. One of the surviving men took a fang home as a trophy. The fang was carved down into a blade and fashioned into a small dagger. The dagger mysteriously houses some of the beast's magical properties and grants the user the ability to do shock damage on an opponent. This unique dagger is seen occasionally by traveling heroes. Umbra Sword. The Umbra Sword was enchanted by the ancient witch Ninra Ware, and its sole purpose was the entrapment of souls. Used in conjunction with a soul gem, the sword allows the wielder the opportunity to imprison an enemy's soul in the gem. Ninra was executed for her evil creation, but not before she was able to hide the sword. The Umbra Sword is very choosy when it comes to owners, and therefore remains hidden until a worthy one is found. Denstagmer's Ring. All that is known of this ring is that it may grant the user protection from certain elements. Even the name, Denstagmer, is a mystery. Helm of Arain Bearclaw. One of Valenwood's legendary heroes is Orain Bearclaw, son of King Faum Todai. He was a respected clan hunter and a future leader. Wood Elven legend claims Orain single-handedly defeated Glenwyfaunva, the witch serpent of the Elven Wood, forever bringing peace to his clan. Orain would go on to accomplish numerous other deeds, eventually losing his life to the Nahatan Flu. His helm stood as a monument of his stature for future generations to remember. The helm was lost eventually as the clan split, and is now a treasured artifact for adventurers. The helm of Arain Bearclaw is rumored to improve the wearer's agility and endurance. Daedric Crescent Blade. Probably the most rare and even outlawed item of all the great prizes is the Daedric Crescent Blade. The blade was used by Mehrunes Dagon's Daedric forces in the capture of the Imperial Battle Spire. These extremely unique blades were gathered up and destroyed after the Battle Spire was recaptured by the Empire. All but one, it seems. Though the Empire believes them all to be destroyed, it is rumored that one still remains in existence, somewhere in Tamriel, though none have ever seen it. The blade lends its wielder the ability to do great damage on an enemy, and allows him to paralyze and put heavy wear on his enemy's armor. Quite the prize for any mighty warrior, if it does indeed exist. And there we have it. If you have a perceptive eye, you might have noticed that I myself carry a couple of these famed artifacts. You don't adventure as long as I have without picking up a few tools to keep you alive. But thank you for joining me today. And I can't wait to see you next time when we go in search of another rare book. Take care.